Well, hello and welcome to Talking Dogs on a Monday. We have a lot of racing to look back on from the weekend just gone. As you can see, there's no exile Dub. He has been exiled for the week. He will be back next week. However, we are joined instead, though, by Declan O'Donoghue, the fountain of knowledge, the man who has been at Shelbourne Park with me through this journey of redevelopment in recent times. And we will be discussing all things Shelbourne Park in a matter of moments. We're, of course, also joined by the Cheshire Cat, Sarah Kinsella, to look back on what was a wonderful weekend of racing. We're going to kick off proceedings with the Time Juvenile Derby. Declan, you were at Shelbourne Park on Saturday night. We saw yet another masterclass from this Callaway Kinnegar. This is a real prospect. He's very, very strong. I'm very much of the opinion that he was a 550, 575 yard greyhound. I don't think I'm wrong, but he's just showing now a little bit sharpness in those early strides, and I think that's a big concern for his rivals going forward.
Yeah, I thought actually last week was the first time that we'd seen that, but we certainly saw it on Saturday. He was very, very fast away, and that gives him a whole new dimension to the whole thing. He stays very strongly. He's exceptional at the moment. He's like they're all still in experience. That's what we have to think. Even coming into a final, he'll be only racing for what is it, the eighth time or something? You know what I mean? So anything can happen. And Ballymac is running very well. There's six good ones in the final, but he is exceptional. Certainly, he's an absolute standout. In fact, how he was even money on Saturday, I haven't worked that one out at all. I have to say,
It's something I've done a couple of times in recent weeks, and you hate to after time, but even money. Like after a stride, he's 10 to 1 on. I always thought he'd lead Boyle Sports Blue. I just don't know why he was even money. That doesn't really sort of just yeah, it's a head scratcher. It's a head scratcher.
a
But
very
Sarah,
strange one. Yeah,
that's the
yeah.
very nature of punting. It's sort of there is an awful lot of after timing. You can change your opinions after the fact, but the fact that I think I had 4 to 6 on top of the card about Callaway Kenagare. I thought that was more his price. You'd have been happy to spend even money after two strides.
Yeah, you would.
And
He ran sorry, Declan, go on.
go ahead, Sarah. Go on. Yeah.
Yeah, no, he ran exceptional. But like, look, you're in the betting ring a lot longer than I am. Like, people's opinions, you could fancy a dog that's a ridiculous price, and there'd be someone that would just want to take on the second favorite or whatever. People might have fancied Boyle Sports Blue, and the money came for that, and it pushed out Callaway. And you don't know, like, it could have just been the way it went on the night, but that was a savage price. Like, now in saying that, I still wouldn't back him at even money. It's too short for the likes of me. I'd be going for a bit of value. But he was, as Declan said, that's another dimension to his CV now, if you like, the fact that he came out so fast. He's ticking all the boxes. He just has a bit of everything, doesn't he?
He certainly does. You're saying about value. I think even money does constitute value, Declan. As we said after two strides, it was race all over. We were basically looking at the clock on the run in. That's what we were doing. 27.85. Only six greyhounds have ever gone faster around Shelbourne Park. There's no question the track is absolutely flying in recent weeks. I'm surprised they didn't race it to 20 fast that they have been doing. Considering you saw a few dogs early in the card that produced their career best displays by some margin. Doesn't really matter to me. I tend to ignore the plus 20 anyway. I think it's more of a grading tool than anything. The fact of the matter is, whatever pops up in the clock is the time. That's my opinion. Always has been. Could you name the six dogs that have ever gone faster? There's a question between the two of you.
Certainly not. But I take it. I would say 10 fast would have been. It wasn't quite as lively as it has been in now for the last 4 or 5 weeks. It's been a
Yeah.
pretty average summer, but Shelbourne isn't aware of it. It's been fast, fast, fast. Which is great. But he's a very fast dog anyway, and they all are. The one thing in the back of my mind, anyone back Boyle Sports Blue and how you were 7 to 40 end against that dog, I have no idea. But
Yeah.
how often have we seen it? He come out and beat him next week, and they won't have a shilling on it. That's the way
Yeah.
Yeah.
these things tend to go.
But they'll be
But
they'll be getting better than 7 to 4 for their money next week,
they
Declan. We'll
certainly
have
will.
no doubt
They
about that.
certainly will. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, Ballyman Pryor, we got to mention him. He's running crackers every week, and there's touch of the Susie Sapphire series. Got trap one yet again. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? You often wonder is the name on the cups sometimes.
Yeah.
Had he been in one last week and Callaway in two, you might have understood some of it. But anyway, look, they're all good dogs. It's on the night. Something can charge traps. They're all very inexperienced. That's what we have to remember, and we saw in the last race on Saturday night how inexperience can come against even the best of dogs. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's all there. But he is an outstanding dog. He is 5 lengths of hand on the field, surely. You know.
Yeah, Declan, what do you think is his greatest strength? Like, let's look at these dogs a little bit in depth. We have six of them we can talk about in the final, but we'll start with Callaway Kinnegar. Boyle Sports have priced him in at 8 to 15 for the final. I suppose when you see a classic final, you see a dog that short. I don't think he'll be that short Saturday night, but at the same time, I think he'll certainly be odds on. You can see why he's now 5 wins from 7 outings. He seems to have, as we said, he's added that little string to his bow the last couple of weeks, that bit more early speed from the second bend to home. He's about as fast as we've seen in recent times.
Yeah, yeah, I would agree with you. Middle pace is exceptional, and a lot of the really, really great dogs down the years have that. It's you're dead on from the second bend on. They just take off. They have a clear run ahead of them, and by the third bend, they're gone. They're gone. You know what I mean? And yeah, he has, but he certainly stays strong. He's now starting better. There's not much wrong. I mean, obviously, some night he's going to come out and there's going to be a wall of dogs in front of him. That's going to happen. But that's to be experienced too. It'll happen once, happen twice. But then he'll look. He's got everything. If you could own a young dog at the moment in the country, that's the one you'd own, isn't it?
Yeah. I suppose, Sarah, the beauty is Declan said it there. It will happen some night. He's going to stumble or miss a kick or something or take a bump early. He's going to find himself behind dogs. But this isn't a greyhound that we're going to say this is a way and gone merchant. Like this dog, his clocks down the back are huge, but from the third bend home are sensational. I know a couple of men that do the clocks in Shelbourne Park. I think we all know one of them, the bold Teddy Hegarty. There's another man that does his clocks, and he could not throw enough flowers at Callaway. He's saying this dog is immensely strong. If he is behind a wall of dogs, if he gets a run at that third bend, he's still going to be hard to contain, all depending on what's out in front. But he is a dog that you can see qualifying through competitions no matter what is thrown in front of him.
Yeah, of course, but should be on like he's not infallible. Like even when we see him down in Cork, yeah, he started off his career, he was exceptional. Pinged, I think he actually didn't even ping out. He stayed on well and got led near the line in 28-15 or something down in Cork. But as the competition progressed, he got through and qualified, but he was bulked, he was this, he was that, and it didn't work out for him and he didn't win the final. So this could be the case in the final on Saturday night. Yeah, he's doing everything right. Yeah, he has the exceptional clocks. Yes, he loves Shelbourne Park. That's we often when we talk on this with Tommy, we often say we can't wait to see this dog in Shelbourne, and we would have said that about him when we were talking about the Dennis Linehan. Comes to Shelbourne first race, boom, 28-14. Now, as you say, he's within one of the fastest of the sixth ever fastest times to do in Shelbourne Park. You can talk about him all day, you run out of superlatives, but it all has to go right on the night. We know that. He can be the fastest dog in the world, but at Shelbourne Park, you have to get it right. Now, he does look like he's absolutely unbeatable, but I do fear sometimes when we build up a dog too much, and he has to live up to it then. So, and there's 5 other great greyhounds in there, and they're all young, they're all still learning. Some of them are even still a bit green. So who's to say that the final could be won in 28 or 27-60 by Boyle Sports Blue? We just don't know. But all signs are leading that it's going to be Callaway Kinnegar. I was actually down in Kerry, just to change the subject for a second, and I was asking people down in Kerry about the pronunciation. So yeah, it's definitely Kinnegar. So we've been getting it wrong all this time, but now
what does it mean?
It's a townland. It's a townland down in Kerry. It's actually where Dennis Murphy, who's the chief man behind the Field Sports Syndicate, the Callaway man. It's where his father's townland is. And he had his father. He had his father up at the track 2 weeks ago. They were coming up via. I think it was an All Ireland under 15 final or something. I think Dennis's young fella was playing, and I got to meet his father, who is absolutely loving this journey with Callaway Kinnegar. Just go back to it. The dogs that have gone faster around Shelbourne Park. Paradise Madison once, Ballymark Arminta twice, 27-70, 27-83. The Laddie Da, Swords Rex, and Carrick King. A fairly select group, and I think it's fair to say Callaway Kinnegar is every bit as exciting as some of those greyhounds. They are a select group, but this fellow has done plenty right. Sarah touched upon it there. Declan, 1 or 2 of his rivals are green as well. They're youngsters, and I suppose that adds a little more jeopardy to it. Whereas if he does make a mistake, it's not that he can't recover from the mistake. It's just the fact that those dogs that he's taking on, they're not going to be keeping a straight line all altogether. Like, they're not all that professional just yet. They are capable of making mistakes themselves, moving left, moving right, and that sort of adds just that little bit of jeopardy. So if Callaway is to win, he's going to need to come away on terms and find himself in a good pitch into the opening corner, because you don't want a youngster or two on your inside of the corner where things get tight. And, maybe after 15, 20 starts, they'll stay tight to the fence. But at this early stage in their career, there is a potential for them to step off, move off, check wide, whatever. So he'll need to be doing things right. And that 8 to 15, as you say, Declan, I know you're not an 8 to 15 backer. I wouldn't imagine you'd be taking too much of that.
No, no. I think the thing is he needs to avoid bad luck. That's the first thing comes into it. And as you say, like Chrysan Pickles, you see that they're only learning, they're only starting, and we don't know. We now know she doesn't need to be drawn inside at all. And
She certainly doesn't.
In hindsight, if we'd known that, Ballymacbar would have been an even bigger, even bigger certainty. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But we're only learning with them, and the connections are only learning about them. So look, 5-5 in Shelbourne, as we know, anything can happen. Anything can happen. You know what I mean?
No.
And that first bend, it's a pretty tight corner sometimes for them. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
he is still in. They're all still inexperienced. But
Yeah.
certainly going into the race, the trap draw won't affect him at all, one way or the other. He has 5 lengths in hand. That is fair to say. But it's got to all go right on the night, of course.
Yeah, he has shown a good racing brain and good determination. Like, we saw, you spoke of the his quarterfinal victory where he burst the dog out of the way on the opening corner. It was a real sort of racing move, But
Yeah,
the previous
yeah.
week to that, when
he
the
wants to
dog
win.
was in front of him and he looked to go up the inside, the other dog started to move in, and he just did a little fluent move out and went around and ran such a fluent
Yeah.
third bend with a dog on his inside. Very, very impressive. If he is going to be beaten, it's going to be the first bend that beats him, because I think he has a racing brain to get away with it thereafter. I think he'll negotiate away around the third bend, which is often the pivotal part of a contest. But I think it's safe to say we're all fancying Callaway Kennegar. If you can just avoid bad luck, he's going to be hard to beat. But let's look at his rivals. We'll continue on his semi-final. In behind him, Boyle Sports Blue. Declan, like, this dog is already at 27.98 on his card. Yes, they plus 20, but I wouldn't be too concerned about that. It did come from Trap 1. There's no question he has a massive, massive engine, and he's only had the 6 starts. He's even less experienced than the Callaway dog. He's going to need to sharpen up at traps, but who's to say that won't come?
Yeah, he's a very exciting dog, and like the favorite, he will certainly stay further in time. He's a lovely dog. They're all up against it, against the hot pot, but he's a very, very good dog, and if things fall his way, for sure, yeah.
Yeah, of course, Sarah, you'd know John Boyle more than most. I would say he's getting excited about this fella. Like, he's well aware, he knows his greyhounds that this is just the tip of the iceberg. This dog is learning every night he goes on the track, and he's got a great man at the end of the lead in Paul Hennessy. I'd say Paul is excited about this fellow, and it's a case of let him learn slowly. It'll come.
Yeah, they have a great relationship, and with Kevin as well, because obviously Kevin still works for Boyle Sports, but he's had tremendous dogs with Paul down through the years. One thing I always noticed about John's, whatever way he buys dogs, none of them are pinging out of the traps. None that I've seen recently anyway. Like, even when you look at Boyle Sports King that nearly won the Derby, and this lad, they're very similar ways of running. They're coming with surges late in the race. They're not absolutely blasting out of traps. And it must be just the way the dogs that he looks for, the dogs that he's interested in buying. But I definitely think this dog is open to improvement. And I know you say, oh, he's had what, six or 7 races on his card, but he's up against top class dog like Callaway Kennegar. So he's finished 17 lengths behind him the week previous, 7 lengths last week. Yeah, he's in a lot of ground to make up on paper, but we know that's doable. That could come. I don't think it'll come on Saturday night, if I'm being honest. But I definitely think there's a huge future for Boyle Sports Blue, and he will get better at the traps. 100%. But the unfortunate thing about these dogs is when they're starting at this level so early in their career, they're kind of stuck with these dogs now for the foreseeable. So they're up against it, and it's hard. It takes its toll on them as well. So yeah, who knows? He won't ping out, but he'll definitely give it a good lash, and he might even finish second. But I can't see him win it. To be honest.
No question, a fast dog. As you say, I think he is a bit of a project dog. I think he's definitely one for the future. Declan, third placed in this heat was Infield Destiny. He's a dog I've sort of been keeping on side. I think he's very fast. Now he's been introduced in and around sort of 20 to 1 to land the big one. I think he's very quick. Obviously, he's another one that's going to need to sharpen up in the early yards. And even though he has more races than the two dogs we've already mentioned, I still think there's a bucket load of improvement in this fellow from a sharpness point of view. The engine is there. Saturday will come too soon for him, you would imagine, and his price, albeit very big, is probably reflective of the contest he's racing in. But this is one that Barry Clancy can get a bit excited about. You can have the option to step him up to 550, 575 again in the future. I think he's a dog with a future.
He is a dog with a future, certainly, but not over 5 to 5 at this level. I would think, and you're right. His price is because of he's the dogs that he's taken on are so good. It's no reflection on his ability. He's a very good dog. He's a lovely prospect going forward. He's all sorts of options with that dog, but he is up against it on Saturday night.
Yeah, he certainly is. Funny enough, like we're probably talking about 3 or 4 of the finalists here in the puppy derby or juvenile derby that you know certainly the three we've mentioned there. This may well be, I can't imagine they'll have too many more races over 525 after this juvenile derby, because they are very much 550-yard greyhounds. And given the company they're in, and the fact that Shelbourne Park probably is their track, and there's not too many open contests in Shelbourne Park over the 525, certainly not enough open competitions anyway, over the 525. You imagine these dogs will be taking on the 550-yard trips going forward. Ballymacbriar is a dog that could certainly run in 525-yard competitions. He's had more experience than the others, but I think he's readily improving, Sarah. And again, Declan mentioned it. He's got that red jacket. That's where he wants to be. He's absolutely fully utilized in the last 2 weeks, and he's going to certainly play a part in the final. Whether he has the pace and power to hold the Callaway, we don't know. But I'll tell you one thing: he's in the perfect position to make a bold bid for himself.
Yeah, he definitely is. I remember seeing him down in Tralee during the Lee Strand. I can't remember what round it was, but he was showing terrific early pace. And I remember saying to myself, oh, that's now another one of Dowling's to keep an eye on, because everyone was talking about his other dogs, or even like your BallymacFinns and all that. Like, this guy, I feel, came under the radar a little bit. I think he get to the final in Cork behind Bacco's Diamond. I think he might have, or got to the semi-final stage anyway. And he was fast away down there as well, but he was finding trouble and getting balked and whatever. Then he comes up to the juvenile. His last 2 performances have really impressed me, I have to say. Like 203 in, I think it was the quarterfinal, 28-25. Okay, I know that it was 28-05. The track was marked fast, and I know you say you don't really take that into consideration. It is probably something for a separate conversation that I wouldn't mind learning more of when they've marked the tracks fast and stuff, and because there's a lot of people at the track talking about it. But anyway, and last week as well, 28-25 again, led from the first, gone 7 lengths. It's just when you give these dogs an opportunity to get their head in front, they show you what they can do. And he's after showing it now in Shelbourne Park for the last 2 weeks, but I can't wait to see him step up now in trip after this. Like, I know he's not even in the final, hasn't happened yet, and I'm already excited to see him. Is he going to go for the laurels? Are they going to keep him for the Derby? What's the story? Like, you get excited about dogs like this, but this is another powerhouse of Dowling's. Like, his kennel is just, even to just have one of his dogs, like, he has an exceptional kennel.
Yeah, no question about it. The fact that he even went to Lee Strand suggested Liam, thought plenty of him from the early stages. He was unlucky, and the Lee Strand was 3 semi-finals. And he finished third in the semi-final, obviously only two to qualify. It's not too often it happens in Ireland. As you say, he got to the final in Cork. He was a biggish price in Cork, but that's not surprising. Like, it was the Derby favourite, went on to win it. And then he came to Shelbourne Park, and it took him a race or two just to sort of find his feet. He won well in 28-31 on debut in Shelbourne. It was beaten the next night in 28-70. Ran well to score from off the pace in 28-57 the next night. And, and then we got into the juvenile derby. But Declan, I like him. I think he's not taking giant steps forwards, but he's taking a little step forward all the time. And he just seems to be a dog that's, strengthening up with each run. And again, the draw is very much in his favour. And how often have we seen Liam producing one of these dogs to win on the big night?
He's very progressive, and as you're saying, the 5-5 finals in Shelbourne, if you're on that bend in front, you're more than halfway there, really. And he's perfectly drawn. He is the danger to the favourite. There's no doubt about it. He is still progressing on a very, very exciting dog, and having a few extra races under his belt is a plus. In fact, down the years in the public derby final, the first thing I look for is which dog has the most races. It's
Yeah,
amazing how often that stands to them, you know.
yeah.
So he's a very, very good dog, and he's a big threat on Saturday, certainly.
Yeah. His task was made somewhat easier the other evening. Kusain Pickles, she took a step right from traps, and then at the opening corner, she's still in a lovely position. And then it was a case of right turn Clive. Now, obviously, the first bump sort of turns her more, and then all of a sudden she's gone. Much to my chagrin and pain, I had her back each way at 33-1. But
Oh, no.
that's them's the breaks, as they say. Hello, Diego. Declan ended up finishing second, despite having a very rough ride around the opening two bends. Contrasting to what he had done in previous outings, he was probably away too well. He was in a lovely pitch
Yeah,
on the
yeah.
outside, got badly balked, and for him to come back to finish second, yeah, albeit he's beaten 7 lengths, but sure he must have lost 5 or 6 lengths in defeat already. He is a big, big engine. He's similar enough to one or two of the dogs we mentioned, a project dog, but once the engine's there, Declan, you have a chance. We did see him go up better the other evening. I'm sure Paul will be hoping for a similar enough start the next night.
Yes, and he is well drawn. He's a very, very talented dog. He would prefer a longer trip, but so would two or three of them. You know, yeah, he was prominent and he was unlucky. There certainly was a bit of a shemozzle there at the bend, and he was one of the ones that actually lost out badly by it. So to qualify at all was actually a pretty good achievement, and like to finish second there, he's a very good dog. Yeah, he's
Yeah,
a very
he's
good
very
dog,
fast.
and he's a versatile dog, the kind of dog Paul loves. You can see him in the Open 600. He could be in the Conquer Cullen somewhere. I mean, that's that's the kind of dog that he has and he likes, and yeah, he's a lot going from. But they all have to beat the favourite on Saturday,
I,
no
I
doubt about
often I often take the opportunity to talk up, stud dogs you don't see as often as you probably
it.
should.
Okay,
JT Yankee is his sire. From limited numbers, he's thrown some really nice dogs, Sarah.
Yeah.
I know Kevin. You spoke of Kevin earlier on. He's liked a lot of the JT Yankees. He thinks there's something about them.
Yeah,
It's good to see one in a classic final
it is. Yeah. Did he win the Champion Stakes one year?
twice.
JT Young, yeah, I think because I remember, I think I interviewed the owner, John, on the night. But no, look, he's an exceptional dog. Um, the thing with like it's gas, right? I was down in Limerick a few weeks ago. This is two finalists for Paul now, isn't it? Yeah, even like so, Limerick he had two finalists. His kennel, right? When you think about the last few years, how the dominance of the trainers has changed, Susan was telling me one year, did they have something like 450 or 500 winners in a year? Would that be right?
Yeah,
Back in the
no,
day,
no, yeah, yeah, no. He went.
like,
I think he was 10 years. He was probably over 200 more winners than the next trainer, and
yeah,
certainly one year, I think he got close to 500 one year.
yeah, I think
Obviously
so.
they had greater numbers then as well, and
Of
they have
course,
scaled back way back. But yeah, like don't get me wrong, he's still producing plenty of good dogs, but it's
yeah.
not like it used to be. I remember Declan, we'd have gone to Shelbourne Park on a Saturday night, and Paul might have left with 6 winners.
yeah, absolutely, yeah, yeah, that's true. But he's still a top trainer. Maybe he shouldn't have got involved with the horses, but he'd a brilliant Cheltenham winner, which
Yeah,
which would have
he's
been
had a couple of good
amazing.
days with the horses, though. In fairness,
Yeah,
But
yeah,
no, he's brilliant, and it's a great setup. And of course, another thing in any sport you've got to admire is consistency. And certainly, he ticks every box in that regard. Every year, Paul has he could have big numbers, he could have small numbers, but they're all good dogs, and the ones he brings to Shelbourne are certainly good dogs. That's for sure.
yeah, Sarah, we've seen it firsthand how often like this. Hello, Diego is a big price. Boyle Sports Blue, not so much. It'd be no surprise to see Paul landing another juvenile derby.
no, I wouldn't be surprised at all. That was kind of the point I was trying to get to is the fact that he was dominated for so long, but he's still up there with much smaller numbers. Like, okay, heaven help us, brought him tremendous days in Cheltenham, and he's a few other horses there, and I know like he'd be in with Martin Lanny and they have horses together and whatnot, but he still has his dogs, and they're still probably the love of his life, really. And to have two finalists again in a big final in quick succession just after the Ledger, like you have to hand it to the man. He is brilliant. I just say to him at the track, I'm like, Jays, your dogs are fine. And he's just so humble about it. And so, when I was like his owner, Lee Craze, he was down in Limerick every week, looking at the dogs as well, coming over, flying over from wherever he lives in England. And they just think the world of him. Like, and it is great to get another two dogs to a final. But this is a dog that you'll see now going for the English Greyhound Derby next year or something. Do you know, it'd be
Oh,
another.
I would be amazed if both Bold Sports Blue and Hello Diego weren't there
Yeah,
and
we're
battling
probably
it
talking about it already.
into sneaking into a quarter final. You're going, God, like they could be
Yeah.
sneaking through again. Would you believe? I just looking at the previous winners there. Paul has never won a juvenile derby at Shelbourne. His last winner in the juvenile derby, and it may well be his own winner, I'm not sure. Was Rutland Budgie back in 2001. Do you remember Rutland Budgie,
I
Declan?
remember that dog.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Rutland
yeah.
Budgie. That was Stuart Kenny and the cohorts.
That's right.
I
That's
think
right.
there was a
Yeah,
right bit of
yeah,
sport about
yeah.
Rutland Budgie. Yeah, fast,
Oh, there's
great.
funny games. That's
I
right. Yeah.
think that might have been the year that one of Pat Dalton's flying bitches got suspended in the semis or something like that. Could be, yeah. Anyway, that the mind could be playing tricks with me. It's 23 years ago. Wow. I was only a nipper. In second spot or third spot, we had Tivoli Milo. Declan, this fellow's shown loads of promise. There's loads of ability there. He hasn't had the clearest of patches in the last 2 weeks. We saw what he was capable of in the opening round. He got up to beat House Martin, who I think an awful lot of myself. He got up to beat that by a neck in the opening round at a decent enough price. Probably not the price I thought he'd be that night, but I think he's justifying the faith that Tommy has in him. He threw him in pretty hot to an open unraced in Shelbourne Park. He's never ventured out of Shelbourne Park thus far. And while he's beaten 8 lengths and 21 lengths in his last 2 starts, I don't think that is indicative of his chance or his ability. I think this is a 28-10 dog, and that's more than capable of winning a classic.
Well, he was almost bowled over,
Yeah.
in the mess on Saturday. So absolutely, yeah, and he's a good attitude. Likes the outside. He's a good dog, and like them all, he's still improving. There's huge scope for further improvement there. Sarah is right, of course. The thing is, from now on, they're going to be in against top class dogs all the
Yeah.
time, and some of them will be far more experienced than they are. But that's every great dog has had to come through that. That's the way it is.
Yeah.
But he's a very, very good dog, a very exciting dog, and not completely out of it on Saturday either.
Yeah, we Sarah, like Tommy O'Donoghue's been there before. Like they've won a derby. Tommy himself has won a Ledger under his own name with Epic Hero. It'd be no surprise if this fellow was to hit the lids. Obviously, Callaway Kinnegair is not going to get in his way from 4. You'd expect him to edge inwards when he gets the room. Hello, Diego would definitely stay a straight line. Tivoli Milo, I think, would prefer 6. I think he does take that little step right early, but I think he'll have room. He could well he just could well be the value option in the race. If I was to pick one of the dogs at bigger prices, I think he'd certainly be the one that'd be getting my little tick.
Yeah, and I think again, this is another dog where you mentioned earlier on, like a project dog. I know he's done 28-28 in Shelbourne Park, I think in the first round, was it? But he was 21 lengths then behind Callaway Kinnegair the next week. He has an awful lot of ground to make up, and everything will have to go right for him because he's not blasting out of traps. Yeah, he's showing good pace and running on strong, but I can't see him win this, but I can see him winning something big in the future. He's a dog. I just don't think it's clicked yet. When you're looking at him, he looks like a dog. It just hasn't all fallen into place for him yet. So I definitely think something big is down the line. I don't think it'll be this Saturday, but an exceptionally fast dog who we just have to keep an eye on and add to the notebooks and keep an eye on him. And Tommy will know best where to run him. I mean, he doesn't keep dogs that he doesn't think are good. Do you know what I mean? He moves them on quite quick. So he obviously thinks a lot of this one. But yeah, he'll have to run the race of his life on Saturday to win it.
Declan, he'll definitely carry a couple of my quid. I think he's the one greyhound in the race that's greatly overpriced.
He might be, but you would want a lot of the fancy dogs. Something, it's hard to see it. It's hard to see it this Saturday. He's a very, very good greyhound.
Yeah. Let's get into the final. 1 Ballymacbriar, 2 Infield Destiny, 3 Boyle Sports Blue, 4 Callaway Kinnegair, 5 Tivoli Milo, and 6 Hello Diego. Declan, what way do you see it going, and what's your selection? Obviously, well, give us your 1, 2, 3.
I would say 4-1-6.
4-1-6. Sarah?
It's interesting to see. Hello Diego was changed to an inside during this, and then he was changed back to a middle. So that leaves a bit of question marks of how will he keep a straight line. For me, I'm going to go 4-1-3.
4-1-3. Boyle Sports Blue to be third. I think Tivoli Milo will be in the frame because I think he'll turn very close to the pace. I wouldn't be surprised if he was either disputing it at the corner with Breyer and maybe Kinnegar, but obviously Kinnegar is so immensely fast in the second minute. I think he'll win. From the draw, Ballymacbriar looks absolutely set to play a big part of proceedings. So we'll go 4-1-5, 4-1-5. But as I've said, Tivoli Milo will carry a fiver of mine just in case at
Oh,
biggish prices. On the undercard, let's get to the final of this one's deep open 525. Declan Georgie Roach has been coming to Dublin for a long number of years. I remember he used to have like they used to be called like bet 5 million, bet 4 million, bet 2 million, and he wasn't afraid to have a bet. This fellow was 5-1 in the semi-finals, looked absolutely thoroughly professional, 28-13, did 15.86 to the third bend, and the other night he's installed the even money favourite. And while Sober Secret took a flyer from two, Rambling Boy had the early speed to just clear him. Again, does 15.9 or 15.89 to the third bend. 28-17. Really nice type, this fellow. He's now 7 from 9. I spoke to Georgie yesterday. Really excited about this dog. I really like him. I think he's a real pro. He said he gave him a good break after he started his career at Clonmel. He won a few races there at Waterford. His only misstep was basically that sprint on Dundalk in the opening round of the national sprint or the Irish Sprint Cup. But then he came to Shelbourne Park and he's been absolutely thoroughly professional. This dog is going to win a heap of races before he finishes his career.
Yeah, well, every year I think there's strange entries in the national sprints. Most times I'm right. Occasionally, one of them wins it. So
Yeah.
I don't know what he was doing up there, but he's some dog. 7 from 9. You're right. He loves Shelbourne. He's got everything. I don't remember George having a dog as good as this. This is he. I mean, he's only in August. He couldn't get into the juvenile derby. If he had, he would have given them something to think about. That's
Yeah.
how good he is. Very much so. At 28-17 on the night, that says it all. And the race was all over after a few strides. He's a
Yeah.
very, very good dog.
One
Absolutely, yeah.
one of one of the first Jacob Tashadelics we've seen, and it seems he's
Yes.
passing on his professionalism. He was a real pro into the opening corner, rarely
Yeah,
missed a kick,
yeah.
and lovely early speed. This fellow's a carbon copy.
I would say they've turned down some big offers for this dog. He's as good a one as we've seen, coming on the scene this year. That's how good he is, I think.
Yeah, Sarah, good to see you. I don't know if you know George. He's one of the great characters. A hairdresser in Enniscorthy. A good cash business.
exactly.
A good cash business. And he's always been a great punter, great supporter of Enniscorthy track. Was there through the lean times. Has put his heart and soul into the place, along with the likes of Miles Robin and those behind the scenes. Obviously, Bridget Whelan is doing huge work down there, but there's a huge crowd down there, and just great to see a man like Georgie with a proper one.
Yeah, I only met him down in Waterford the night of the Select Stakes final, and all the races were 1,000 quid for the winner, and he 3 winners on the night. I remember the last one, I was like, I'm sick of presenting to you, George. Like, you should after winning 3 big races on the night. Like, that was the first time I met him or even spoke to him. I might have met him down through the years at various tracks or whatever, but I don't know much about him. But this dog looks an absolute cracker. Rambling Boy, he's definitely one to be excited about for sure. There's a lot of like the standard is so high, isn't it? Like, and I don't know, it begs the question, is Shelbourne Park going fast? Because there just seems to be clock after clock after clock. It's
I will say one thing. I will say one thing. When the track is running slow, the difference between the fast dogs and the slow dogs is heightened. Let's say a track is running 30 slow. A fast dog can do 28:10. A slow dog will do 29 seconds. When the track is really fast, the fast dogs could do a 27:90 or 28 seconds. And the slow dogs could do a 28:50. It's tightened. It's because you're not as concentrated that they're getting home quicker. So while there's an awful lot of dogs doing those clocks, it still takes a special one to do the faster run. You know what I mean? But the slower dogs are often closer to the faster ones in terms of clocks when the track is going well because there's less variables. You don't have to worry about them fading home. It's top of the ground. It doesn't heighten it. Whereas when a track is slow, it sort of heightens the way a dog would fade out of contention or fade away in the last sort of 15, 20 strides. Like people don't realize, like if you actually sort of put a blanket over, the top 100 dogs in Shelbourne Park, probably not an awful lot of them between them to the third bend. It's often the third bend home where the difference is. Um, Obviously, you want one that's going to be in front of the third bend and keep going. But that's what I'm saying about the fast times that, you know, the fast ones aren't doing remarkably more fast than they would ever do because there's only so fast the dog can actually go. depend, like, it's not as if the ground was made of concrete. They're going to go another second faster. It's not possible. Like, they are moving their legs as fast as they possibly can. I don't know if you subscribe to that theory, Declan, but I just find that when the track is really fast, I don't think the faster dogs are going much faster than they probably would, whereas the slower dogs can go much faster than they normally would.
Well, this dog was visually impressive.
Yeah.
And you've got to, because we all look at an awful lot of greyhound races. We don't want to think how many greyhound races we've seen in our lifetime, So it's what catches your eye is just as important. And this dog seems to have everything. Okay, he wasn't in the juvenile derby. He might have looked different if he had been in it, but he can only be what's put in front of you, and he's doing that. This was a serious competition as well. That he won. He beat some very good dogs there. The dog was second, is flying at the moment. Little Ballymac the boss. That's very, very
he was after winning his previous three,
absolutely.
Improving with each run. Yeah,
and he's improving still all the time. And he beat him by 3 lengths, and it looked more, if you know what I mean. So listen, the 2 great dogs, but certainly Georgie has an exceptional dog on his hands there, and good luck to him.
Yeah, and he's not just a one-trick pony, get out and lead to the corner. He's running hard down the back straight too. His back straight clocks are very quick.
He's a serious dog.
Yeah. Just want to mention a couple of things on the undercard at Shelbourne Park. We've a bit to get through yet. A good double for Lawrence Jones. He had Basking Shark and Farney's Charm both winning. Just good to see, a double on the night. Well done to Lawrence's dogs are running well at present. Highview Smart ran very well for Jerry Merriman. Jerry's dogs are flying at the moment. He's a couple of really nice youngsters. But racing ended with a couple of good 550s. The Foxy Devil, he's a dog has had his issues, Declan. Good to see him winning for Mary Gilbert, Pat Flanagan, Stuart Kenny. Thoroughly professional, went up well, stayed tight to the fence. Dalgan went up well, but once the Foxy Devil got to that corner on the inside, he just eased on and he just pulled further and further clear. Wins by 7 lengths, 29.51. You get the impression that hopefully now staying injury free, he's a dog we'll see plenty of in good company.
Oh, he's right back to his best. His first couple of races back, I was a bit wondering, to be honest with you, but you could see he's improving in recent weeks, and that was tremendous on Saturday. Yeah, loves the inside, but a very, very good dog.
He certainly does. Mary and Skippy, they're always good for a line as well, Sarah.
Yeah, they are. I remember when this dog won a final in January, because I presented the prize to Mary, and he had his problems, as you mentioned, and when he came back to Shelbourne, like at first I was kind of like, oh, are we going to see him back to his best? I'd love to see him. And I was talking to Skippy, I can't remember what night it was, but I think it was his 4th race back in Shelbourne. And I said, how is he? How's Rat Down Molly? Blah, blah, blah. And he said, Foxy Devil says he's coming back. He says it won't be long till he's back to his best. He needs a few runs. And there you go, 29.51 for the 550. I love that dog. He's very, very, very fast. Second mention of
the night for Stuart Kenny, but we also must send a mention to Pat Flanagan, the winning owner. He must have been feeling on a high after the Foxy Devil winning, and then his beloved Wolves were beaten 6-2 on Sunday. Sorry about that, Pat. The highs and the lows, hopefully he didn't have his winnings on Wolves to cause the upset. Moving on to the second semi-final. This is a really cracking little contest, Declan. 3 dogs are sort of batting it out. Yorkie Ollie just couldn't get around them. He's showing signs of inexperience. He hasn't been led all that often. He wasn't right in the first round of Juvenile Derby. Found out subsequently, just a little bit wrong in his back, and the other evening he ran better in the feet, but just couldn't really get around Sonia Ingrande, who's a real professional. In the end, Sonia Ingrande swings wide off the last bend, and Down to Business was always prominent. A strong running member of the Pastana New Inn, Madam Litter. You wouldn't have seen Balnakill or Jack Tavern Bolt coming from behind, but their Litter brother did. Down to Business, living up to his name off that last bend. When the gap opened up, he certainly did get down to business. And a good winner for Bernadette Connolly, Dara Kelly and Sharon Mulcahy.
Very, very good, actually. Yeah, he was involved all the way around and switched to the inside. As you say, he's from a very good litter. He's different to the others in litter. Nothing at all wrong with that. He's a very good dog and still improving. As regards the favourite, you're quite right, Yorkie Ollie. That's what we were saying earlier. When you have a very fast dog like that, in its trials in private tracks, when you come to qualifying trials, when you come to races, he's away and gone every single time. And then suddenly they find themselves, and there's 2 or 3 dogs going around the corner in front of them. It's a different game completely. Didn't get to run the race anyway, and it's a very, very promising dog. But take nothing from the winner. It was kind of a messy race, but the winner was always there. And when the chance came, the winner took it.
Yeah, I'm reminded of Gary and Phil Neville You know, uh, at one point, Gary Neville was the best right back in England, and all of a sudden, a couple of weeks later, people were proclaiming that he wasn't even the best right back in his family. Never mind in the country.
Oh yeah,
He's
yeah.
not a little brother to Callaway Kinnegar, but like this fellow was the. He looked at one point he was going to be installed as Derby favourite, and a week or two later, all of a sudden Callaway Kinnegar now has sort of stolen his
Yeah,
limelight. But
yeah,
one
yeah, yeah.
suspects one suspects Yorkie Ollie has a bit up his sleeve, and he's going to produce a hell of a run soon, and it may well be in the final of this competition on Saturday night at Shelbourne Park. He remains a rare prospect, Declan. We won't be just ruling him out just yet.
Well, isn't it great for Owen to be travelling up
Yeah,
with the two of them?
yeah.
That's look at that
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, very talented young dogs. Good to see Owen with a really, really talented kennel. And by all accounts, it's not just the two of them. He seems to have a few more knocking about as well. So
Yeah.
we wish Owen the very best of luck. We'll move on because we've
Absolutely.
got to cover a few tracks. Let's get to Cork. The Jimmy Barry Murphy and Bar One Racing Open 525 was worth €5,000 on Saturday night. Now, it may or may not have been a notable birthday for Jimmy. Now, I'm not saying it was. If it was, Jimmy, happy birthday to you. But the Cork Greyhound Racing supporters and all involved in the sport know how important he has been to Curryheen Park in recent times. His unwavering love for our sport and support of the game. Hasn't been missed, and it's great to see a big race named after him, and basically a night of celebration for all that is Jimmy Barry Murphy. He's a legend in more than one way. I was lucky enough to induct him into the Hall of Fame a few years back during COVID times. A special character, a special man, and a special sportsman. It was fitting that he had a tremendous winner, Tribal Sid, a dog who has a little bit of age in his side, Declan. If he had landed on his feet as a youngster, I don't know where this fellow could have ended up, because his runs this year have been nothing short of sensational. 28:07. He absolutely flew to the corner. 3:23. We often hear Tommy speaking about Cork form, and when you're doing low 320s, you really run to the corner. Well, that is what Tribal Sid has been doing. What a year he's had. He's won a Tipperary Cup, second in Dundalk Internationally, absolutely hammered to the third bend in Shelbourne Park in a recent 550-yard contest. He did clocks that would equate going back to the special year of Pastana and Ewan Taylor. He's a little bit of age in his side, but my God, they're going to have some sport with him still going forward.
I would think if you're pricing up the Derby in the morning, he'd be top of the list. To be honest with
Yeah.
you.
Be up there, yeah.
That's been frank with you now. I mean, what he did in Dundalk, he was just caught on the line. Very Cup and that run in Shelbourne that you're talking about, that was the best run in Shelbourne this year. There's no
Yeah.
doubt about it. It just was. It had everything.
I
And
think it
then to go
was. I
down,
think. I think it was 1583. The
yeah,
third
it
bend.
was. It
If
was
you go
incredible.
back, if you go back to Susie Sapphire's Derby, I haven't gone back, but I
Yeah,
believe she only bettered that once. I think she did a
yeah, yeah,
1580.
yeah,
Like that
yeah,
sums it up. That sums up what he's doing to the corner. Like he left. Like Dubby's Carbine is an absolute Cork staple, a professional to the corner. Like the other Colbys in three. Yes, it didn't happen for him, but he leaves them standing.
yeah. And to do it, that's we've already mentioned four different tracks in recent weeks. So I mean, the dog is red hot at the minute. I'm
Yeah.
not surprised that he won that race. I thought he'd win it, but as you say, it was a fantastic lineup. You know what I mean? It was and Jimmy deserves a race like that, absolutely. And I agree with everything that you said there. So this dog is you can't tell anyone. He's just brilliant at the minute.
It's
He's
hard, it's
brilliant.
hard, it's hard to believe, Sarah. His first two starts in Shelbourne Park were over 575 yards. Like this is our,
He
like
he
this is the
he'll get
definition of a
that
crash
too.
bang wallop merchant.
Yeah.
He'll roll home over it, but like when it comes down to it, I think 550 is even stretching him a little bit. But like what Murty's done with him, and I believe there were a couple of offers recently, not huge offers, and they were very tempted. But I think the owner said, "Nah, do you know what? We're having sport. Let's keep going." Um,
Yeah.
he's just, like this is the definition of a fun greyhound.
Yeah, I was just gonna say they're having some crack with him. This dog bet the great Tuono Charlie one night down in Turles actually as well. But when you're looking at his card, I don't think he's ever raced in Cork before. Obviously, he might have trialed, of course, but that's a serious thing to like. Mert is as he's shrewd, I tell you. He's chasing the prize money and he's doing it well. Like, what's this dog up to now? Over 25,000 in
Yeah,
prize money.
25,000. Yeah, Tipperary Cup helps, of course, and so does the 5 grand the other
Of
night. But
course, yeah,
second in the Dundalk International, picking up a few valuable opens in Shelbourne, as you say, all of a
yeah,
sudden it racks up. You know what I mean?
it does.
As you said about first look at first look at Curraheen Park. It was his first look in Limerick the previous night. He's only beaten behind the other Kobe, runs a hell of a race.
That
It was
was a
his
great
first look in
race.
Dundalk. As Declan said, he's only picked up in the latter stages by a special one in Drewby's Mandolin. I think this is just as professional. And yeah, I would imagine it's all targets setting out for a Derby campaign, and why not? And the very best of luck. And what crack they are having with them. A dog that I would certainly love, nothing more than a leg in. Let's just
They
talk
go
about
for the
one or two.
laurels. Sorry, will they go for the
Oh,
laurels?
I suppose the fact that they're down there, they probably will. Yeah, excuse me. I wouldn't, given the fact that he'll be one of the few wide seeds. You'd expect him to get his draw
Yeah,
most nights, Declan.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, you see, at the moment, he's just red hot. You've got
Yeah.
to strike while the iron's hot.
yeah.
Whatever's coming up next, go for it. That's what I would do. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Just want to mention a few performances on the undercard at Curraheen Park. A tremendous card yet again down at Curraheen. They're certainly not afraid to put on a good card these days. Our dearest Sam was a good winner in 28:04, a massive run considering Tribal Sid does 28:07. Graham Holland trains this one. A brother to our dear Freya, the track record holder at Clonmel for the 50 yards. There was also a big run in the sprint by Stone Park Hoffa. Didn't quite happen for him at Dundalk. I still think inexperience was probably some dogs handle it, some dogs don't. Declan, it's a strange test that Dundalk, and he just didn't quite get to grips with the place. He's only had 3 or 4 starts before he went there, so it was a big ask, but good run the other night, 17:30. He beat Dynamic Force and Burgess Jack, two very good gauges. He beat some 4.5 lengths and 2 lengths in 17:30. You'd imagine MJ will be targeting all the best sprints now, certainly the one-off sprints likes of Shelbourne Park Derby Final Night, Winter Racing Festival, and whatever sprint competitions come up.
Absolutely, and I wouldn't mind Dundalk because sprinting is kind of hit and miss anyway. You know what I
Yeah,
mean. That's and you're at that level. What you're up against. You know what I mean.
yeah.
You just everything has to go right. But he's a very exciting dog. I agree. Yeah, for sure.
Graham Holland certainly makes plenty of hay down at Curraheen. He had another fine winner. Silver Hill Freya won the Galloping Kennels 83525 Sarah. Bombay Pat, who had posted 27.96 in the opening round when coming from off the pace, was second to his kennel companion Silver Hill Freya. She's a sister to the likes of Silver Adam and Ben, both of dogs we've spoken about here in the past. But you know, Graham doesn't come to Shelbourne as often as he did. For those that run their dogs in Cork, that's not good news because he wins a lot in Cork nowadays.
Yeah, he does. The prize money was that was 4,000. I think that final, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, no, his dogs are like obviously they're running very well, but they do a magnificent job down in Cork. Like all the trainers target down there, no matter what's on, they'll give it a go and they'll, have dog will travel. You'll see all the big lads coming down, especially coming up to the Laurels because they obviously want to give their dogs a spin around there or whatnot. But and also we have to mention the All Ireland Camogie team were there as well. It was a few girls came down and they brought the what's it called, the Duffy Cup, Duffy Cup. So that was great to see. The pictures and all looked brilliant. And it's a great night out in Cork. It really is. But that Silver Hill Freya ran a cracker, 28:11. I know the track was marked 20 fast as well, lads. But very, very, very good performance.
Don't be minding that 20 fast. Silver Hill Freya, I love the way she ran off the last bend home because Bombay Pat was there on her heels and she really ran to the corner or into the escape. I think both of them will stay further. Yeah, certainly that would be the history with the litter of Silver Hill Freya. All her comrades seem to want that little bit further as well. So keep an eye on her. Also good run by Romeo Taylor, another winner for Graham Holland. He's a dog with terrific early speed. He'll definitely be laurels bound. And Drewby's Bookham won the last race in 28:44. A great night down at Curraheen Park, but we've been saying that quite a bit lately. I'm just going to move on to Waterford for a moment. I want to mention a couple of dogs there. The Casey's Caravan and Camping Park Open unraced got underway. It's a valuable competition. Has produced good winners over the last 2 to 3 years. The first heat winner was a dog called Drewby's Maximus. Commentator suggested this early pace son of Drewby Sydney. Well, he got to the front early, but the way he ran, he won by 12 lengths. He was about 5 clear to the third bend. He happens to be a brother to a certain Callaway Kinnegair, and looks very similar in a sense. He came home in 12:40, which seemed to equate very well compared to the rest of the runs in the card. It was only a 3 dog affair. He got loose early, wins in 28:52. Hell of a run, really nice prospect for Johnny Linehan. Paul Ellis, good to see Paul with a good dog, and Seamus Hagan, best of luck to them with Drewby's Maximus, clearly a very nice dog, tidy size, only 68 pounds, but clearly has a very big engine. Cohenor Spinner won the next heat. A little bit of age in the side. He was an April 22 whelp for John O'Donnell. I like the way this dog ran. He looked very strong as well. He won in 28.71. And the last heat was won by Wonderful Ollie with a wonderful pedigree. Alan and Pat Dobbs, we know they have some really, really well-bred types down there, trained by Robert Gleeson. And April 22, we've seen one or two of these run out of Ballymacbeanie, the Oaks winner, at 28.90. He'll improve for that. Keep an eye on the runner-up there. Montana Duke. He's a September 22 for Johnny Linehan, for Barry and Martin O'Reilly. He's beaten a length at 28.90, doing 28.97. Would be no surprise to me if he took a half second off that. I think he's a nice type. I really do. I think he'll be a big player in that competition. But the real feature down at Waterford on Saturday night was the Dave Collins Memorial Munster Oaks, and some recognisable names. I want to mention the first heat winner, Derby's Queen. She was a tremendous winner on Irish Sprint Cup final night for Pat Devaney and the Devaney family. Regulars at Shelbourne Park. They've always had a couple of nice types around them. I think I remember speaking to them. They got this lady for a bit of a song. She'd won a couple of races, and I think they got her for, or no, she hadn't won. She'd qualified in 29.04 29.34 in Kilkenny minus the 30, and they bought her, and I think they were really happy they bought her for the price they got her for. They brought her to Dundalk. She won a couple of sprints. She's after winning a few races around Shelbourne Park, 28.52. The night in Dundalk, she led. They came to her, and she kicked off the last bend like she goes 600 yards, 6 bends. And the other night, 28.54 off the front. Just, good to see the Devaney family, Sarah. We've seen them around a long, long number of years in the Greyhound game. Good to see them with a nice type.
Yeah, I know Podge is great, and his son, like they're always the first two people you see in the stand in Shelbourne Park, and they have brilliant opinions on greyhounds. They really do. They've been doing it a long time. You can
not afraid to offer it either.
Yeah. But they can, yeah, that's true. But no, they're very shrewd, very good. I would go to Podge if I wanted an opinion on something, or you're standing on what do you fancy, and they're brilliant people. But I love to see them with a special, like she's really special now. That night in Dundalk, that was an exceptional performance, I thought. It was 28.34, but yeah, in Waterford, she's taken.
I think it was the fastest time. I think it was the fastest time at night on Dundalk. Obviously, there was good racing that night. She's a nice type, Declan. You would have seen her in Shelbourne.
Very good. She's very good. Likes the inside a bit, sharp, and she stays. Yeah, she's very good, and it's tremendous to see them haven't won that good. And she's down the Munster Oaks. I see Bucko's Crystal. It was funny. She's something else, isn't she? And Ratdown Molly was second.
Yeah,
Ratdown Molly was second to Star Molly. Yeah.
Some regular faces there. I just want to mention Derby's Queen. She would have been great around Harold's Cross, Declan. She was razor sharp to the corner. She'd hold her pitch to the third bend. She'd kick again from the last bend home.
Yeah.
How often do we see bitches like that? They would have starred around Harold's Cross.
Yeah.
Star Molly won. Go ahead.
She runs Shelbourne very well too. In fairness,
she does. Star Molly 28.52 led from the fourth bend. Rathdown Molly, she's just not quite getting home this year.
I would had problems, I suppose.
I would suggest she's destined for the breeding paddock sooner rather than later. What a bitch she's been for them. And Dealish Nora, well, we've seen this bitch winning plenty of times around Shelbourne Park. She's really talented type. She's just got a good engine. 28.65. Others went faster, but like her previous started, I was 28.17 at Shelbourne. That sums up what she's about. Like, she's very capable, and some decent types behind her. Mustang Fever, Annie on Fire, of course, who has some fine form this year. And then the last heat, won in tremendous fashion by the aforementioned Bucko's Crystal. What a star she has been. This daughter, Duby Sydney. What was that? That's win number 24. I'm not even sure that's including a couple she had in England. Win number 24. What a record. You know what I mean? Second in the Derby, goes close in other classics. She's just been a star for them. And, wouldn't it be great if she won another competition? But that's a really cracking competition down at Waterford. That's the Dave Collins Munster Oaks. Always a good competition. But also keep an eye on the unraced stake. Limerick, the Con Murphy bookmakers stake went to Star Son Johnny. Was it Star Son Johnny? Excuse me. I have to open it up again. Star Son Johnny. I think he did Star Son Frankie, excuse me. 28.39, a son of explosive boy. We haven't seen all that many of them, but one or two of them can run. And this Star Son Frankie, 28.39, looks a nice type, Declan. Second early, took it up down the back straight. And beat a nice type in Voyage Stanley. Scott Phelan trains. Saw that win very well in the semi-finals. But this Star Son Frankie, just a nice type.
Didn't he do a very good semi-final run as well? Isn't that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
Sounds good.
did.
Sounds
Off
good.
of 123, he did 28-25 in the semi-final. So he was
Yeah.
Yeah,
sent off the even money favourite, Sarah. You would have
sure.
been down there for the semi-finals. No
I
surprise to
was
see him
there
win the final.
Saturday as well.
Oh, you
I,
were
I
Saturday as well.
Yeah, I popped in because I was coming back from Killarney, and it was literally 10 minutes out of the way. So I popped in to watch the race with Scott and Kira. And Voyage Stanley ran an absolute cracker. The wrong type was in front of him because he has brilliant early that starts in Frankie. But I thought Voyage Stanley ran the race of his life. He's looking for a new postcode now for anyone that's interested. Give Scott a message. Very, very nice dog to have in your kennel. But that starts in Frankie is worth getting excited about too. Exceptional early pace, and that's what you want. You want them out and on.
Scott and Kira, a new arrival soon.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, she's due now next month. Well, no, she's due early October, I think, but all going well, and she's blooming, she's glowing, she looks brilliant. It's
Yeah.
exciting time for them.
So I think Voyage Stanley could well be paying for the what you call it, the travel kit, like the buggy and
Oh
the
yeah,
car
they have
seat and
all that
whatnot.
now, and 365 retired. We have to mention that the
Oh,
brilliant
great.
365.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So yeah, no, all going well for them. Please
Off to the
God.
breeding paddocks, no doubt. No, Voyage
Yeah.
Stanley. If you are looking for a really nice dog, trust me, you could do much worse than
Yeah.
contact Scott Phelan. Last but certainly not least, we're going to go to Kilkenny. I just want to mention Prince Nassim delivering a knockout blow. It's just a headliner's dream, really, isn't it, Declan? You know, we remember Prince Nassim back in his pomp. What a fighter he was. Well, the dog named after him, thankfully, isn't a fighter. He's as honest as the day is long, and he is giving plenty of sport to his lucky connections. Really nice, strong running greyhound. And when he does hit the lids, when he gets off the front, there aren't too many pick him up. 28-65 round Kilkenny. You don't see it posted too often.
It's a good one. It's a good one. It's a serious dog, obviously. Yeah, very much.
Yeah, no, well done to the Bergen clan and to Sean Conway. Sean has some really nice dogs about him, always seems to do and gets the most out of them. Sarah, this Prince Nassim hadn't always been the luckiest. Shelbourne Park got loose then on June 14th, did a very good 29.85 for the 550. I think that sums him up. He's capable of that run any night of the week. Not a dog you can take lightly, and he's going to be a big player in the JAG Building Services and KGOBA Kilkenny Derby, worth €9,000 to winner. And again, our thanks to the KGOBA and of course to Gavin O'Mahony from Jag Building Services. What a wonderful sponsor of the sport he is.
Yeah, it's brilliant. I remember seeing that Prince Nassim. Didn't he take on the Conor Nanny Kirby? I
He
think he
did, yeah.
did. Yeah, and he won the trial stake or no, sorry, he didn't win the trial stake but I know Kim Bergen loves this dog. I think Wilson is the nickname for him. And they think the world of him. So brilliant to see him winning. I know that was just the opening round. Obviously, they have a long way to go, but yeah, the Jag Building and the cert. Like we have wonderful sponsors, Ian. It's worth mentioning. Like we'd be lost without them when you
Yeah,
think of it,
absolutely.
and they're also loyal. They keep coming back, and we'd be lost without them. So it's really important. And you're trying to get new sponsors is a hard thing to do. So when the ones that we have to look after them. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're very
Uh,
lucky.
let's mention one of those sponsors because obviously the feature this weekend is going to be the Time Juvenile Derby, and they are tremendous sponsors, no question about it. Like up and down the country, it doesn't matter track, it doesn't matter the grade, they will sponsor everything. Even tonight, while people are viewing this at Enniscorthy, we have a €1,500 open on race stake. Sponsored by Time Greyhound Nutrition, and no doubt a couple of promising types will also come out of that. We also have the select stakes on as we're speaking. I think if you are watching this directly after 8 o'clock, turn on to Sky Sports Racing just after 9 o'clock, and you will see Untold Dollar and Unanimous Panther representing the Irish in the select stakes, bidding to become the second Irish trained winners after Clona Duke 12 months ago. Wouldn't it be nice for Graham to record a double, or indeed for Pat Buckley to get Unanimous Panther over the line? He's facing a tricky draw out in 5, but Untold Dollar has a great draw on the fence. Hopefully, in our bid to attract sponsors in the future, Declan, Shelbourne Park will be pivotal to it. It's a joy to arrive in there every Friday and see what progress. It's almost great to be not in there every week or every day. You get a week in between journeys, and week on week, you can see the work happening, and it's going to be pretty magical, I think.
It is. It is. We don't want to hype it up too much, but I just let people come and see it. It is so far so good. It's taken a bit longer than people might have expected. There's nothing at all wrong with that. Once you do everything right, take your time and get it right, and they are getting it right. I've been lucky enough to have been given a little tour around the various things and I was wearing my hard hat. Don't worry, everything was undercover, but it's lovely, and there's a good atmosphere there. Even people working, there's a good feel, good factor about the whole setup, the whole place. Everyone is working away together, and they're enjoying what they're doing, and it's been done well. It's been done right, and there's some very exciting new concepts in it. That won't just be on race night. Parts of it's going to be open during the day. There's going to be coffee shops there. People can come in. You were telling about the Greyhound murals. I haven't seen those yet. I believe they're exceptional. Beautiful. There's going to be a huge sports bar. We always get complaints. You can't see that match and you don't know who's winning here. There's going to be huge screens in a sports bar, and it's just and the owners and trainers one at the end. It's going to be lovely as well. It's something to really look forward to. I think you're talking late September, early October. That seems to be what we're looking at.
Let's hope. Sarah, I'm sure the temptation has been for you. You've probably seen more of it than most. The temptation is to take loads of pictures and put them up online, but you don't want to reveal too much. Isn't that what it's like? It's almost like a seduction. People are sort of there going, God, I'll see a glimpse of this and a glimpse of that. And that's nearly more effective than big pictures and whatnot. But the temptation is there. You did post the murals the other day. I walked down myself the other evening to take a look. I try to get in a little bit early on a Friday just to wander around and see what you can see, glimpsing through this, glimpsing through that. There was a door open a couple of weeks ago and I snuck in. I had no hard hat, but say nothing to anybody. At this stage, it's gone nearly past the hard hat stage, but it's looking very impressive. I'd say, you probably don't quite remember as I remember Shelbourne Park back in the day. Declan will, remember sitting on the old tea chest, Declan, and the old corrugated iron, and boarded up sort of tote windows, big grids and bars, and it was rusty and dirty, and but it was our Shelbourne Park. And then obviously we saw the big work done in the 90s, and it's a very different track. And again, we're going to take another step forward. This is going to be a world leader, Sarah, surely.
Oh, of course it is, and that's why they're putting so much into it. And the murals are absolutely beautiful, the artwork, and they're not finished. The girl she's posting little snippets on social media, so like we're not able to put up as much behind the scenes. We're trying to obviously keep it for the finished project, but the artists are putting up little teasers of what the murals and stuff will look like. And anyone that follows us on social media, we've been putting up like coming soon, but not saying anything. And then last week we put up the South Lots Terrace, so that's what one of the bars is going to be called. And over the coming weeks, we're going to be putting out little teasers and little pictures. And just to give you all a feel, I only went in once, because obviously my office is in Shelbourne Park. I work from home the majority of the time, but when I do go in, I actually don't go in for a tour. I want to wait until the film. I want to be blown away, because I think that's what we will be. It's going to be modern. It's going to be fresh. It's going to be cool. It's going to bring in a new audience. It's going to bring in corporate meetings. It's going to bring in, loads of women are going to want to have their hen parties there. It's just going to be magical, and it's going to see new faces and new, younger people coming into the game. We can promote it as a sexy, cool new Shelbourne Park, and that's important, because we have to make greyhound racing sexy again. We have to make it that people want to come and see what it's all about.
Sexy, cool Shelbourne Park is lucky to have a sexy, cool commentator, Declan. That's all I can say. I'll say no more. I'll say no more.
Very cool.
Folks, a pleasure as always. We all look forward to Shelbourne Park. It's crazy. The lads were trying to plan a weekend away, and I said, well, I'm cutting out all weekends around the end of September, early October, in case I miss it. I want to be there when it opens, and bring it on.
Put the ribbon.
Yeah, I'll get a bedazzled, big massive scissors. We'll do something, right? Just judging by the colors and whatnot, I'd say it'll be a dark ribbon. I'd say it'd be dark with a little gold trim or something.
Oh, the new logos are gorgeous. You're gonna love everything about it. You really are.
We're looking forward to it. We really are looking forward to Shelbourne Park Greyhound Stadium. Will be a brand new experience going forward, and we urge you to spread the word, tell friends, family, those that aren't regulars at the Dogs, that why not come down for a night. I've certainly been asking plenty of people. I'm gonna have to take about 6 nights off. I've invited that many people down for a pint. I'm gonna have to take the night off. Yeah, maybe I should be paid to drink on duty, and or off duty, even better. But no, that's great, folks. We look forward to Shelbourne Park. We also look forward to the final of the Time Greyhound and Nutrition. Actually, it's the Time Time Juvenile Derby, which I like. I like Time Juvenile Derby. I think it's
Yeah, it's
shorter,
not
it's
a
sweeter,
mouthful.
it's snappy,
Yeah.
and we have some snappy greyhounds in action, including Callaway, Kinnegare. But of course, the very best of luck to all 6 sets of connections. They've got some very, very bright prospects on the hand. We look forward to where they will go in the future. But a classic is on the line. We all fancy Callaway Kinnegare, but that could well be the noose around his neck. You know, he's carrying some weight. He's not over the line just yet, but I'll tell you what, it'll take a special one to beat him. We look forward to the final of the Time Greyhound Nutrition Juvenile Derby, the Time Juvenile Derby at Shelbourne Park on Saturday night. An occasion not to be missed. If you can get there, I would highly recommend it. Even stick your head up against the glass. You might see a little glimpse inside the new Shelbourne Park underneath. But that's it from us on this Monday evening. My thanks again to the oracle that is Declan O'Donoghue, the Cheshire Cat, Sarah Kinsella. We will be keeping an eye for those little glimpses of little nuggets from Shelbourne Park in the coming weeks. But that's it from us on this Monday evening. We'll see you next time. Good luck, good evening, God bless.